For us, every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon, to make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy, that daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm in London that can help you with all aspects of your legal work. If you are looking at immigrating to the United Kingdom, Stewart & Co. can help you to set up business, buy houses in the UK, and will deal with all your legal works from start to finish.
For all your general immigration work, we can help you with that as well. If you're applying for any form of visa, whether student visas, settlement visas, marriage visas, or a child wanting to come to the United Kingdom to settle with the family, we can help you to achieve your goals.
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm specializing in conveyancing, immigration, litigation, family law, personal injury, licensing, no win, no fee. Contact us today at www.sk-solicitors.com.
Handle small or big projects with the same dedication and commitment as we do. With a reputation as the leading printing company in the country, when it comes to major projects and innovative solutions, we always deliver in high quality, thus receiving the trust and confidence of our clients. From the moment your order is placed to when it is delivered, we believe in exceeding expectations from the sales manager to the production team, the account manager, and the person delivering your material. We have state-of-the-art equipment and a highly experienced and competent workforce that enables us to deliver top-quality work on time. At reasonable prices, we provide our clients with multiple solutions right from conceptualizing, designing, printing, binding, publishing, and distribution. For all your printing requirements, we are strategically located at the Sankumsila Highway, the Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation. We print what you desire.
Introducing Gamtel Corporate Internet for Home Use Sihu. Everyone at home can be online at the same time and for less than you think.
Now daddy can be home early and mommy and dad with the family can all have fun together.
You can now complete your work at home with our stable, secured and super fast home broadband fixed wireless internet.
Home internet couldn't be faster.
Download, stream videos, research, play games, learn online and work from the comfort of your home.
You can do with the internet.
Join Gamtel Sihu today and enjoy the fastest home wireless broadband internet at an affordable monthly subscription.
Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communications.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the show, Fatou. And tonight it's a big honor, Sajo, to have Uncle DA, as we fondly call him, the former Minister of Information and Communication Technology of the Gambia in the Third Republic. A very difficult time when the change happened. He was the Minister of Information Communication. There have been so many issues with the communication of the country at that time. But it will be an honor to have a conversation with him and ask what motivated this book. And of course, his days in cabinet. He did touch on that as well. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. Uncle Dia, welcome to Kerr Fatou.
Thank you very much, Fatou.
Coming
Your
up on
government
Kerr
spokesperson
Fatou.
was hired. Just days after when he was hired, you were fired. Would you think the president was not happy with your role as a government spokesperson?
Well, it's possible.
Because we never had a government spokesperson. The minister
well,
was the government spokesperson.
Well, of course, the minister has always been the government spokesperson in this
yeah.
country.
The date is finally here. Gamcell and Rotary Club of Bursubi is giving out this brand new Corando SUV. Text CAR to 900 and grab your chance. The grand raffle is on the 30th March. The more you text, the more chances you win. And remember, every SMS you text could save someone's life. There is more to win before the grand raffle. You could win televisions, smartphones, fridge freezers, and many other special prizes at the end of every month. Text CAR to 900 and increase your chances. A brand new SUV Corando awaits you on March 30th. Rotary, making a difference. Gamcell, Yaiboro.
Sadio, today this is the discussion. Uncle DA, former communication minister, he spoke about Gambian journalism. He spoke about his days in cabinet. I mean, there's so many things that he spoke about. But some people said, "Dafa just wreck." He didn't go in detail.
I said that to you.
You said that to me this morning when we were looking at the book.
I mean, it's a good read. I went through the book yesterday, and to be quite honest, it's a very, very good read. He talked about a lot of things, though some of them not into details, which I hope we will find out today, but it's definitely a good read.
It's definitely a good read. A Date with Destiny, Uncle D.A. What motivated the book? What motivated you to write this book?
Well, it is a story about myself. You know, I've been writing quite a lot, but most of the time I've been writing about other people. Now I thought it is time to write about myself. When there was this cabinet reshuffle, I went out of government and I had this window of opportunity. I thought probably before I get something permanent to do, you know, because I was extremely busy. I've always wanted to write my own story, but I never had the opportunity. This time around, I thought, you know, at least there is this window of opportunity. I can use it to write my own story. That is actually the motivation.
That is the motivation. You wrote about your family, your late brother, and that was also very interesting for people to know who DA was. But he also spoke about
a lot of things, and I think it's important to break it down like one after the other because there is so much.
Let's start with the Gambian, you know, his perspective about the Gambian media in his golden days.
Absolutely. As the former Minister of Information, I'm sure he have a lot to talk about that. He talked about the golden era of journalism, of course, which was quite obvious. We all knew how that was, and now we have a new era in journalism. How do you explain that?
Well, in that golden era, we were transitioning from the type of newspapers we had in this country, those cyclo-style sheets of paper, you know, to kind of desktop publishing, a more advanced form of publishing. That is what I call the golden era, when, you know, I mean, when journalism had kind of transitioned to another stage in this country. But again, as you said, you know, at this this period, we have definitely transitioned to another stage as well, as far as journalism is concerned. In this case, we are talking about, you know, freedom of expression, which has been entrenched in this country since the change of regime in this country. So with the new Gambia, definitely there is freedom of expression, and I only hope and pray that it will last forever.
A lot of people will argue that when you call it the golden days of journalism, but there was a lot of self-censorship, you know, especially following the death of your dear brother, Dada, and what the attack on journalists. There was a lot of self-censorship from people in the media.
I agree.
Would you still believe it was the golden days when?
No, I mean, in the golden era, in this particular aspect, I was talking about technological aspect of the, you know, but definitely the freedom of expression, I mean, was very much absent.
But how do you see journalism now in the Gambia, especially with our newfound democracy?
Oh yeah, I mean, journalism has definitely taken a very, very high pedestal as far as freedom of expression is concerned. With the new Gambia, things have, I mean, improved quite significantly from what they used to be during the regime of Babili Mansa. That is an obvious thing, and there is absolutely no doubt that, you know, with the advent of social media, with, you know, so many media outlets and other things, and, you know, the fact that journalists in this country have now tested, what it means to have freedom of expression, there is no way that, we'll ever let it go.
But if we have made so much stride in that, how come the Ministry of Information struggled so hard to sharing information with the public?
Well, again, there is another factor to that. The factor probably is that there was this new dispensation. A new regime has come into being. Most of the members of the regime were not experienced enough. They were not exposed enough. Probably coordination and getting the information, passing it on, was a problem, and it is still a problem.
I want to come to the book now proper, your days in cabinet. Well, a lot of people, some of us did observe during your entire tenure as Minister of Information Technology, you never traveled with the president.
No,
even though at that time you were the government spokesperson. I remember raising this with somebody at some point, and what was the reason for something like that? Why do you think you were never in the presidential delegation, even when you were the Minister of Information and, of course, the government spokesperson at that time?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I can be able to answer such a question. I think that question should be answered by the president himself and, those maybe who were responsible for organizing the trips. For one reason or the other, I was never involved in his trips, both within the country and outside the country as well.
Did you at any point feel like you were being sidelined, maybe?
I wasn't comfortable with that thing, because the thing is, as this government spokesperson, I should have been involved in the nitty-gritty of everything that was happening in government. But if the government has, if the president has to travel or certain things are happening and I was not quite involved, then it is extremely difficult for me actually to explain it to the, to the population or to the public as to what has transpired. So that was the disconnect. As far as I'm concerned, there was definitely a disconnect between what I'm supposed to be doing and my involvement in what was happening in the government, within the government.
You did specifically mention about miscommunication. You said ministers only, it was only during cabinet meetings that maybe you guys communicated. After that, there was no proper coordination. How would a government work effectively if that was the order of the day?
Yeah, as I said, probably, again, that was the part of the learning curve that, as a new government, as new people in cabinet, new people in government, we were, the coordination certainly was not very good. It was very much lacking, and that's what I was talking about. We needed to coordinate more. The different ministries and the different departments should have coordinated more than they have been doing. They had been doing. Probably that again was part of the, people who are not very much experienced in what we were doing, because we were new in government then. Probably that was the explanation for such a thing.
The scale of fair play, that was my favorite part of the book, where he talked about the duplication of the roles between, of course, his ministry, the Director of Press and Public Relations at the State House, and the coming in of Mr. Sankare, who's the government spokesperson. How was that process like?
Yeah, with the coming of Sankare, as you know, we just spent not more than a week together, because the moment he got in, I got out. So that was it. So I wouldn't be able to know exactly.
Would you think that the presidency were not happy with your role as a minister effectively communicating its agenda? Because, the timing, your government spokesperson was hired. Just days after when he was hired, you were fired.
Yeah.
Would you think the president was not happy with your role as a government spokesperson?
Well, it's possible.
Because we never had a government spokesperson. The minister was the government spokesperson.
Well, of course, the minister has always been the government spokesperson in this country. Even though in other jurisdictions, I gave the example of Senegal, for instance, they always have a different person who is, termed as the spokesperson and who is a member of the cabinet as well. He had a ministerial rank. Unfortunately, in this country, the spokesperson is there, but he's not a ministerial rank. So, how it works, it's not easy to explain. But I agree. There were some kind of role confusion between the Director of Press and Public Relations and the government spokesperson. There was that intrusion of our roles.
And that's why I want to quote this part of the book where you said, I should have had direct communication with the president instead of being required to pass through his press office. But the very fact that the DPPR appears to wield more power than the minister, then something is definitely not right.
Yeah, that's my view. I thought probably as Minister of Information and a government spokesperson, I should have been in direct contact with the president, and I should have been involved in everything that was being planned or done by the government, so that I can be able to explain it to the public much more as the government spokesperson. But unfortunately, this was not the situation. It appears the director of press and public relations was more, much closer to the president, and she was being, fed with more information than I, as the government spokesperson. That was unfortunately the situation.
The appointment of the government spokesperson even created so much spark on, across the country.
On how it came out.
How it was announced. Were you in know of what was going on? And because the director of press didn't know, she said she didn't know. And did you know as the minister?
I didn't know as well. Nobody ever informed me that there was a government spokesperson being appointed. That part of my portfolio was going to hype up and given to somebody else. Nobody ever discussed that with me. Nobody ever, even told me about it until. In fact, when the appointment was done, I was out of the country. The permanent secretary called me that, Mr. Sankare has come to the office with a letter of appointment. But
then in the book, you spoke about the email.
Yeah, no, what I said in the book was, when the government spokesperson was appointed, I was out of the country.
Yeah.
Where I was, the permanent secretary called me.
Yeah.
She told me that, Mr. Sankare has come to the office with a letter of appointment, that he has been appointed the government spokesperson and that he's posted at the ministry here. And then she told me that, we do not have office space and we do not have a vehicle for him. What shall I do? So then I asked her to, to contact the Secretary General to tell him that as far as, this post was never part of the budget. So as it is then the responsibility of the Office of the President to provide those facilities, because we have never budgeted for it. In fact, we even didn't know that it was going to happen.
So where the duplication of those roles indicate in any way that you were about to be fired? Did you ever think, okay, maybe I'm about to face the exit or something?
Not really. Although I wasn't surprised about the firing, but honestly, I never thought that the appointment of a spokesperson meant that I was going to be dispensed with. It never occurred to me.
Now I want to, because as the Minister of Information, you were also overseeing some departments, Gamtel notably. And there were some series of issues that happened in Gamtel as well. And first, the issue of the gateway. There was a time when Gamtel had a problem with the gateway provider that they were dealing with. And at some point, in fact, I had your peers, Lamin Kamara, did come on the show and said, we will never do business with people that are blackmailing the government. At one point, the government issued a license to these people. But when we contacted the ministry, it seems like the ministry didn't know about it. So how was it like, as the minister, do you always know about issues that were happening in other departments?
No, as a minister, actually, I'm only responsible for policy matters.
Yes.
So the day-to-day running of the various departments and other SOEs, that is the state-owned enterprises. Honestly, I didn't want to get into that because that is their responsibility. They are responsible for their day-to-day running. We are only responsible for policy issues. But unfortunately, even when it came to policy issues, certain actions were being taken without, being involving me as minister. And that was my beef in some of these things that were happening.
And did you raise any concerns about that? Because
I did. Actually, I've been complaining quite a lot. I've been writing complaints and other things. And, I'm sure you even knew about one of my complaints, which was leaked in social media.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that was the only one that was leaked in social media, where I was complaining about, some procurement which had been done without my, knowledge or something. But a lot of other issues I have also been complaining about, and but unfortunately, not much was done to alleviate that situation.
Yes, even when that letter came out, people would say, yes, DA should have resigned. And a lot of people say, it's not Gambians, we don't know, it's not Gambian to resign. Why do we have to wait until we are fired? When all of these things are happening and definitely, maybe what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm not doing it, I'm not getting what I'm supposed to. At that point, did you thought that, it's time for me to go?
Well, there have been occasions when I thought about it, and I even, there was even one particular occasion when I wrote a resignation letter, because I thought it was too much, but somehow I was persuaded to, because decision, that particular decision was reversed. So that was why, you know, I had to withdraw that resignation letter. But definitely it came to a point when I thought probably the best thing is to leave. But you know, I always also had my own mission to accomplish, and I wanted to accomplish that mission. So I was trying to maneuver within the system so that I can be able to accomplish what I aim to accomplish.
Yeah, and then it led to a firing, of course.
Yeah.
And then in the book, it looks like you have no regrets whatsoever that you were fired. As a matter of fact, he said he only feels sorry for his predecessor, who is Ibrahim Silla, and of course the government spokesperson, who will have to deal with the storm.
Why
Are you happy to be out of the storm?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I was willing to serve my country. But if it came to, you know, I mean, to the situation that I have to be relieved, you know, for me it was a big relief because it was not easy. The situation definitely was not easy. There was too much executive interference in what I was doing. So I thought probably, I mean, if I can be gotten rid of, you know, and that's it.
That point, you said there was so much executive interference. And in fact, you mentioned that in the book.
What I mean executive interference, you know, I mean, you know, when we talk about the executive, we are talking about the apex of government. In this case, the office of the president.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if decisions are coming from the office of the president, which are being done without consulting with me and, you know, affecting my ministry, that is what I call executive interference. A good example I've given you is that, even though I welcome the appointment of the government spokesperson, but, you know, can you imagine that was part of my portfolio.
Yeah.
If somebody has decided to appoint somebody else to take part of my portfolio, at least courtesy demands that I should be consulted. I should be informed, at least informed, even if not consulted, but informed. But it never happened until he was appointed. So you see, these are the little issues that I was talking about, executive interference. Not that I didn't welcome the appointment of Mr. Sankare. I have absolutely no doubt that he's a gentleman and he can do the work. But, you know, the way it was done was what I wasn't very comfortable with. See?
Is that something that bothers you, that the executive is interfering too much in the affairs of other ministries?
I'm not sure about the other ministries. In this case, I can only talk about my own ministry. Probably, you know, it wasn't happening with the other ministry. I don't know. But definitely, some of those little things I wasn't comfortable with. And that is what I'm referring to as executive interference. I think anything, you know, when a minister is appointed, all issues dealing with that particular ministry, particularly with regards to policy issues, I mean, the minister should definitely be involved. It's involved at every stage of it. But unfortunately, in certain cases, that wasn't happening in my case.
During your tenure also, you know, Gamtel, the managing director, was sent on leave, and they were saying, we're going to investigate. But I think last week I had a government spokesperson said the investigation has not started. You were the minister at that point. What led to that sending the managing director to on leave?
Yeah.
And he's still being paid. Yeah. Government still pays him.
Yeah, that's part of the things that I was talking about. You know, I think there was too much overbearing from the office of the president on these matters. You know, I mean, Gamtel was directly under the ministry then, and I thought, okay, maybe the president and the office of the president were not quite satisfied with some of the things that were happening at Gamtel, and particularly, you know, this gateway thing.
Yeah.
It was being managed by MGI until July 2017.
Yeah.
After the government took over, it was decided that the contract with MGI was going to be terminated, and Gamtel was going to be given to manage the gateway for at least 6 months, because the plan was to liberalize the gateway so that all the, service providers, you know, GSM service providers would be, terminating, so that, you know, we'll have different, instead of single manager of the gateway, we'll have different, you know, liberalize, and that was the intention. So Gamtel was to actually manage the gateway for at least 6 months. But, you know, in the process of doing that, the government had to set up a task force. And, you know, by the time they were setting up the task force, then Gamtel was under the office of the president. It was not under the office of the ministry, under the ministry then. Yeah. So, you know, they set up this task force to look at, so that the task force will be able to advise the government as to how to go about with the gateway thing. So it's the task force that recommended that the MGI contract be terminated and Gamtel be given to manage the gateway at least for 6 months. So, you know, I mean, but, well, according to the office of the president, you know, I mean, they were assured, given the assurance from the Gamtel management that they had the capacity and the capability to manage the gateway effectively. But somewhere along the line, the Office of the President were not satisfied with the way Gamtel was managing the gateway, and they were not satisfied with the way the revenue was coming, because as far as they are concerned, MGR was making more revenue than Gamtel was making, and somehow the blame was heaped on the managing director. That is actually how there was this recommendation from the Office of the President that he be not fired per se, but kind of sent on leave, and then they will set up an investigation panel to look at it.
And also in the book, before we take our first commercial break, you spoke about, when journalists still, you being excluded in decisions. You spoke about the ECOWAS decision to award journalists and some families of Data Hydra and Chief Mane to be paid. And during that process, as the Minister of Information, you didn't even know when these people were paid.
I mean, this was all part of the poor communication that I was talking about between the various ministries, the various government departments and other things. Because, as the Minister of Information, definitely, everybody who's asking about these issues would direct such questions.
I remember we called you one time.
Exactly.
You said, I'll get back to you.
Me. Right, yes, right. Yeah. Because, this is, when I wasn't involved in these things, it made life very difficult for me. Because this is a particular issue when the ECOWAS judgments were there, but the previous government refused to honor those judgments. But this government has taken the decision to actually honor those judgments and then start paying these people. The intention was to pay them the half of the amount, then later on pay them I later on learned that the first half of the payment was effected, and I was never involved. I was never told about it. When people direct questions from me, particularly from outside, I didn't know what to tell them because I wasn't involved.
We'll take our first commercial break. When we come back, we will talk about, there's so many other issues. The minister that is called SM Brussels. There were some other, the process of your firing, how you knew about it. And of course, the future of Gambian journalism. When we come back, we will take a look at all of these.
Coming up on Kerr Fatou.
Into government?
No, honestly, that is not my intention, because I know what I've gone through while I was in government. I have no intention of, not with this government anyway, definitely. I have absolutely no intention of serving back in this government.
Sampap
deena
déedéet daf ma yónni woon ma joué ko bii waaw yàlla def mu gagné jàppoon $100,000 la gagné.
laa ilaha illallah.
te yow xam nga ne sama papa dafa amee cardiaque.
yow da ngaa dof yow xam nga luy $100,000.
xam naa ko kay man naa lu ñëw bëggoon nga dimbali ko ci.
demal na nga def damaa toog rek sama xel mi ne ci yow xam nga bërki démb li daal fi benn waay fee.
waaw
ma romb ko rek. bërki démb.
waaw
muy yuuxu di tëb. ma ni kii lu ko dal ñu ne ma daal ci loto gaming Gambie bi la laal.
jar na ko
laal na ci lu di.
waaw nga dafa am quarté am kente am tiercé waaw maanaam nag tey jii.
waaw
kente bi la te jackpot bee passé. xaalis
kente mooy lan.
kente maanaam mooy juróomi fas yi.
waaw beneen bi.
am na quarté. mooy ñeenti fas yi. ak tiercé. tey nag xaalis bi daa gën a yokk.
lu tax
ndax jackpot bële dañ kaa tegaat ci bii maanaam juróomi fas yi boo ko jàppee ci ordre mooy risque nga. désordre bi sax day fay. bu ma ko jàppoon
yooyu moom noonu la demee da ngay dem rek jouer.
am na lu ma yaakaar
man gis naa seen kii yi keesku yu ndaw yi ci biir dëkk bi. mais daal dama ni lii moom amul xaalis da nga ciy def sa xaalis.
day jël wecce rek sànni ko fa xool jëmbat la. laa ilaha illallah. yow li nga wax ni tey ji bu yàlla dogaloon ma gañe ko lu mu gàtt.
fi mu toll nii boo gañe woon $100,000.
waaw lu may def.
waaw nooy def.
xam nga yow sama xarit nga.
waaw
damay fexe nga rey say noonu.
ci nan.
lu mu gàtt $50,000.
waay.
Thierno. woowee ambulance.
lan la lu xew ni
sa baay gay dee na.
sama papa gay lu ko rey.
$100,000 dalaa ne ko boo ma gañaloon si li ma la yónni dama ko koy jox mu daanu ni sama kaw.
man waxuma ko mu waxee woon la ko noonu yow la ko waroon informé ndax yow yaa ko gañe. yaa gañe jàppoon.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Sea View Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $2,400 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandiku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi lañu toog kon xaalisi contract bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokkute réew mi.
Every young Gambian dreams of a university degree. He wants a good paying job after graduation, a pretty wife, and ultimately own a dream home.
What if I can't afford my desired dream home?
And that is why you need to visit Universal Properties.
We specialize in customer satisfaction. We listen to every of our clients' needs when we show the properties to our client. Before you know it, you hear the client saying,
I like this house.
This is the room that cuts my heart.
And most of the time, they cling to the door, never to let go. Most clients want to close the deal right there. And that is why we always have their contracts in the trunk of our cars. We work at our client's pace. No haggle, no hassle.
We're waiting for you at our office in Caraba Avenue here in the Gambia.
Have you run out of cash power? Do you want to transfer funds to your family? Or do you want salary advance without coming to the bank? Your banking services have just been brought to you on your mobile phone. Download and install from your App Store or Google Play Trust Bank's mobile app. Simply search for TBL mobile app and follow the instructions. You can access the following services: funds transfer, cash power purchase, forex rates enquiries, mobile airtime top-up, mini statement, balance enquiry. TBL app is the only app that allows you to take salary advance and many more. You can also interact with your customers using our USSD code by dialing *533#. At Trust Bank, we bring innovation that is useful to you, our valued customer. With our mobile app and USSD, banking is at your fingertips. Trust Bank Limited, proudly Gambian.
Make a difference and text CAR CAR to 900 to win a car with Gamcell. Gamcell and Rotary Club of Bruceby brings you a chance to win a brand new SUV Corando. The more you text, the more chances you win. Join Gamcell today for your chance to win a car, fridge freezers, televisions, smartphones, and lots of cash prizes. Draws will be held live on GRTS TV. Proceeds will be used to help the humanitarian activities of the Rotary Club of Bruceby in the Gambia. Every SMS costs $10. Your SMS could save someone's life. Join us and text CAR CAR to 900 today. A brand new SUV Corando awaits you. Rotary, making a difference. Gamcell, Yai Borom.
welcome back to part 2 of this interview. Sadio, we were talking about there's so many things in the book. But I think in the new Gambia, we will want to know, especially when this government took over, because it's a new government, very inexperienced, and of course, from where we came from, it will be interesting for people to know really what happens behind there. And some of the things that were mentioned in this book is very interesting.
Absolutely.
Like the lack of communication. We have said it openly in our shows, and I remember so many times we have confronted him and said, you guys are not communicating. So this book is just strengthening some of the things that people have been saying outside.
It's basically explaining all the questions that we've had before concerning the Ministry of Information in particular here. Yeah. So I think it is definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. But let's talk about the day you were fired. How did you know about this?
On that particular morning, I was supposed to go to the National Assembly. We had this adjournment debate. Yeah. And well, indeed I went to the National Assembly. But the moment I reached the National Assembly, I got a call from the office of the Secretary General that I was wanted at State House. Yeah. So I went to answer to him. I went to his office, and I found James Gomez sitting in the waiting room, waiting for him. In there was this the former Minister of Health, Safilo Cisse. Yeah. While I was sitting down waiting there, I had no idea what I was being called there for. Yeah. Then Safilo came out, and she told us that she has been given the letter and that her services have been terminated. Well, that is there. I suspected that this is the reason why I'm here for, And then after she came out, I went in. Then the Secretary General handed me the envelope. I sat down, opened the envelope. So it was the letter, of termination. Yeah, that was it. So I just got up, shook his hands, and thanked him for working with him, and. So that was it. That is exactly, how I knew about my services have been terminated.
So we know the president, of course, has the rights to hire and fire, obviously, according to the Constitution, which we don't have a problem with. Yeah. But do you feel like your firing should have come from him directly instead of being directed to the Secretary General's office?
Yeah, again, the Constitution, as you say, gives him the power to hire and fire anybody, and it doesn't even direct him as to how to do it. He can do it anyhow he like. He can even call you by telephone and tell you are fired. Yeah. It's still effective. But as far as I'm concerned, definitely, I thought probably he should have devised a much better way of doing it than just giving the Secretary General to give people, he's been our cabinet colleague. He's been the chief of course, cabinet. Yeah. He was the boss, but at least we have been colleagues in cabinet. Mm-hmm. When these things happening, probably, you cannot put in a letter, this is the reason why I'm firing or something. Probably, as some people have been asking that to be done, but I don't think it is appropriate because there are probably other, reasons that may be adverse against the person. But, as cabinet members, I see no reason why he could not have called us into his office. Explain to us, these are the reasons why we cannot be able to continue to work with you. And then give our letters there. It would have, that I thought would have been the best way to go about it. But anyway.
Do you have an idea, at least what happened?
Absolutely.
Why?
I have no idea because I was never given any idea. If the president had called me to his office to tell me, he would tell me that these are the reasons why, we just can't continue to work, I would have understood. But up to this very day, I have not been told as the reason why I was fired. It's possible, they were not happy with the way I was communicating. It's possible there are other reasons, I have no idea.
But whilst writing this book, did it come to mind at any point to maybe ask a close source to him to understand why you were fired? No.
No, I think it's the president who, this is his own prerogative, so I don't think, I'm not sure whether he has ever disclosed it to anybody.
Do you want to know why you were fired?
Well, if you would tell me, I would be very much happy to know. But I don't think it makes any difference any longer. Yeah.
In the book, you also made reference of a particular minister who traveled so much so that he was referred to as SN Brussels. Yeah. Writing this book, did you think this might cause a lot of bad blood between you and some of your colleagues or former colleagues?
I am not sure it would. Yeah, definitely. I had very good rapport with all the ministers, and even up to this day, even at the launching, some of them came. Yeah. I always have very good rapport with all of them. Yeah. So, these are just jokes that have been flying about. So I thought probably to put humor in the writing.
But there was this particular minister that traveled a lot. Well, I saw on, I saw on social media today, especially on our friends Watson Gambia, and they had to put us through a clue of 3 ministers and ask people to choose?
I don't know.
Would you tell us who the minister was?
Definitely, I wouldn't go to that. I wouldn't like to, mention any name.
Names.
I mean, it could be any one of us. Probably it could have been.
But there
me
was a
or
minister
even
that woke up. So when there were issues raised that there was you guys were traveling a lot, there were concerns raised that the travel budget exhausted. In fact, because the people were traveling a lot, but the government defended that, saying there was a lot to be done outside. But now, being a cabinet member, you even went to the point to say there was this particular person who travels a lot, meaning there was definitely something that was not going right.
I agree that there was definitely the need to
travel.
Because the Gambia was kind of a pariah state then, during the Babili Mansa era. Virtually the whole sub-region or the outside world had something to pick up with the Gambia, a bond to pick up with the government of the Gambia. And with the new dispensation, it was necessary that the government, the ministers would travel to reconnect the Gambia with the rest of the international world. That was okay. But again, I definitely agree that some of us were overdoing it. I don't think it is necessary for the minister to travel at every moment that travel. An opportunity comes for travel. There are certain areas, I think, is the technicians, the technical staff, the permanent secretary and other technical staff who should actually represent the ministry, because these are technical issues being discussed, and probably the minister is not very au fait with some of those things. So that is my take on this matter. Definitely, I think it was not always necessary for the minister to travel. Yeah.
And then there were sensitive issues that you spoke about, the FAB issue, the First Lady's Foundation, the communication, the way it was handled. You did touch on that. Also, the Dr. Cisse issue. So, how the president responded to Dr. Cisse, you did also speak about that in the book.
In the book, yes.
So, when things like this happen, as cabinet, when you come to cabinet, how do you tackle these things? Is there any point in time, because you were the government spokesperson at one point, you were the Minister of Information, is there any point in time when you would have to sit with the president and do briefings before he gets to press conferences or before he does sitting? Because that happens anywhere in the world. The president needs to be briefed properly on issues, and that determines what goes out. But when these things happen, when the president responded to Dr. Cisse, you did mention about that. You had an opinion about that.
I think the description in the book is that some of those things are like misplaced
priorities. That was how you described the incident. And also, of course, the FAB issue, the First Lady's Foundation, how it was handled.
And even the pilgrimage thing that came from anonymous donors.
You had an idea about all of these. So how do you handle these things when you guys go to cabinet? Or do you have side issues discussing, everybody having their opinion? Or do you sit with the president and tell him how you feel as a cabinet?
Well, when you say cabinet, this is supposed to be a cabinet, so I'm not supposed to disclose what we discuss in cabinet, how we even comport ourselves in cabinet.
Yes.
I think we can leave that aside. Yeah. But again, when you talk about briefing the president before giving a major speech or press conference, I think that should have been the best way to go about it. But unfortunately, as I told you, I wasn't involved. Even in his biannual press conferences, I was never involved. I was never involved in the organization. I was never consulted and other things. So, it's unfortunate. It is that the way it was, but it was not supposed to have been that way. As Minister of Information, and because when it comes to communication and information within the government, definitely I should have been on top of things. But unfortunately, this was not the case. There should always been. Every time the president is about to give a speech or to make a press conference or something, at least we should have been holding kind of discussions and then brief him on some of these issues, so that he can be on top of things. But unfortunately, it wasn't happening in my case. Yeah.
So why did you refer to some of those things as misplaced priorities, especially the FAB thing and the pilgrimage thing that happened?
Yeah, in the case of the FAB thing, I thought probably it was definitely not quite right for such a huge amount of money meant for the Gambia government to be passed through, the foundation account, because the government has its own accounting system. And anything dealing with government should be going through the government accounting system, not through a semi-autonomous, account which belong to a foundation. Definitely, I think that was wrong. The other one about this pilgrimage thing about anonymous donor, there are priorities in this country. We have the health sector. We have other things that, because we are given the impression when the president went to Saudi Arabia, he was the one who appealed to the Saudi authority to help, Gambian pilgrims. I thought probably, the pilgrims, they can afford the money. They can afford the fares, very expensive fares. So helping Gambians, definitely they were not the priority, because there are people who can afford the fares to go to Mecca, which costs thousands of dollars. There are priorities in this country. We have the health sector, which is almost in the verge of collapse or whatever. So, if Gambians, if the president is to appeal for any assistance for Gambians, there are definitely more deserving sectors than people who can afford the fares to go to Mecca.
Sophie meew la bu sell te neex baax na ci halal ak mag yépp am na calcium iron protein ak vitamine yu bari Sophie full cream powder milk la am na 20 gram 200 gram ak 400 gram ku ko ñam dootu ko bàyyi Sophie proudly Gambian.
Hello, Modou ma ne demal ma GIA léegi nga fayal ma suma tiketu Makka bi.
da ngay dem rek.
damay dem di GIA laay demal.
man de kon fa laay demee.
xanaa xamuloo woon foo war a demee. GIA ñoo ko moom kon foo war a demee.
xanaa GIA rek.
GIA rek nga war a demee sa bos la yaa ko moom. soo ca demee ca nga war a demee boo ca demut ca nga war a demee.
waaye kon de dama la jox nga dem jënd li ma rek.
ayca.
waaye ndey seen dëkkukaay nag.
dëkkuwaay yi dafa baax ba dee gis nga fi ñu dëkkoon daaw. ca Medina danga naan Allahu akbar ca xaram ba nga dox ndànk génn sa néeg dox ndànk dem julli. Makka nag kenn waxatu ko ñu ngi ca digg ba da ngay taxaw nii seen lamp yi xaram bi yaa ngi may dégg te nag képp koo xam ne da ngay julli ji rek foo nga jaar suñu boor dem ca xaram ba.
waaw lekkookaay
yow dañuy lekk ba doyal lekk ba suur ñun dañuy lekk ba desal lekk ba génn ci biti di maye.
kuy fay nag fooy fay jee.
Ecobank bu la gën a jegeñ dem fa 100,000 ngay déposit ca Ecobank ñu jox la receipt nga dem ca seen makkaan nga xam ne moo nekk ca bunti airport ba jox leen ko ñu jox la seen receipt wa illa nga dem nag Kayraba ca seen office ba 50 Kayraba avenue ca buildingu FIG.
asalaamaaleykum
waaw yow béykat ku dem Makka ni da ngay dem Makka.
man du ma fi bàyyi fay naa bu yàgg. fay naa sax Jinta.
Jinta GIA la di GIA ñooy yaatal seen tur rek defal ko ba mu baax def lan Gambian National Travel and Hajj Agency fépp foo xam ne mbirum ticket la rek ñoo ko yore aj geeg ñaaw geeg dem gi yëpp ñoo ko yore. ma ne lépp lu jublu ci muri aj rek ñoo koy def.
mooy avion.
waaw seen office ba nga xam ne moo nekk ca seen bunti airport ba seen office bi xam nga nañ ko tabaxee comme plane soo duggee ci biir sax plane bi yëkkati la yóbbu la. GIA nag ñoo national carrier yow itamit nag.
GIA ñoo ko moom.
The president's supporters would argue that you are saying all of this now because you're out of government. I mean, you were there when all of these things happened. What did you do to tell the president or the government we cannot do this as a government?
Yeah, and as you know, government is a collective responsibility.
Yeah.
So, something happening within the government, you have to discuss those things until you come to. But it's not for me to come out in the open and say this thing is wrong, this is done and done. Yeah. That definitely, then I would have been betraying my trust as a minister. So it's only when I'm out of government that I can be able to talk some of these things, because then I don't have that collective responsibility in running of the government. So that is the situation. But it's not that I was not talking. I was, as I said, I was talking. I was complaining this and that and that and all those things. But you can't bring them out in the open. Yeah.
So what's now that you are out of the government, and then from an outsider perspective, do you think the government has gotten it right now with their way of communication?
Yeah, I think there is some improvement. There's still a long way to go, of course, because most of the time, as you say, it's kind of reacting to to what is being said, rather than preempting and doing things. And so that's the situation. We are still reacting, or the government is still reacting to most of the things being said and being done. So but probably someday we'll get there. There is still a long way to go, though.
So how do you reflect on your days working with the president?
Yeah, I think it was an opportunity, and I still use this platform to thank him for appointing me as minister. I think it was an opportunity I was given to serve my country, and I tried to do the best I could. But somewhere along the line, probably he or somebody else wasn't satisfied. My best was not the best that they expected from me, and that was why I was. But I'm still grateful to him that he gave me the opportunity to serve my government, to serve my country rather.
So what is DA Jawo up to right now then, apart from writing a book?
Yeah, as I said, I wanted to take this window of opportunity and do this project. Now I'm finished with this project. I will now think about what I'm going to do. On a permanent basis. As you know, I'm not that young, so I wouldn't go for something rigorous enough. So I will just do something light. I have not yet decided as to what I'm going. I've been getting a lot of approaches here and there about doing this one thing or the other. I will have to sit down, maybe choose exactly what I'm going to do. But certainly, I don't want to get involved in something heavy.
Do you ever see yourself coming back
into government?
No, honestly, that is not my intention, because I know what I've gone through while I was in government. I have no intention of not with this government anyway. Definitely, I have absolutely no intention of serving back in this government. No.
The reflecting back from the days of the Hydra, yourself, the PAP Sense, now what's your reflection? What is the future of Gambian journalism? What do you think is the future with the booming of media houses? So many young people aspiring to be journalists.
Yeah, I think the future is quite bright for Gambian journalism. Definitely, with the freedom of information, which is kind of that has stepped in this country now, with all the facilities that are available, with social media and all those things, and with journalism training that is going on in this country. Because in my days, journalists were not, there was not training facilities. There were not training facilities in this country, and journalists had to learn the profession on the job, and it caused a lot of problems. But now, journalists are being trained, and they are very professional in the way they are doing. So the future is quite bright for Gambian journalism, definitely.
And of course, there are some ups and downs as well.
Well, of course. Because with the advent of social media, all you need is a smartphone, and then you can be called a citizen journalist or whatever. So everybody can put anything on the World Wide Web, and then it's all over the world. So that is a big challenge that journalism is faced, not only in the Gambia, but throughout the world.
But then again, we have this media convergence. At the end of the day, everything is going online. We are going digital.
Yes. So that's where the problem comes also for the journalists. You are a professional. You want to do things in a professional way. Somebody is out there who has never been trained as a journalist, but has access to these facilities, and they can post anything there. Who are the people? How are the people going to distinguish between what the professional wants to say and what the other one is saying? So these are the problems that the media will be faced with as far as social media is concerned, definitely.
But then there are concerns. For example, the new National Assembly member that was sworn in has, when lawmakers, people who are supposed to represent us, say we need to regulate.
I know
the social media. I know you are in cabinet. Were there any instances when you felt, as a cabinet, that definitely there's need to regulate the social media? Was there any time that it came across?
No, I don't want to discuss.
But there
what
were
we
concerns.
Talked about. Of course, government has always been concerned about how some people have been using social media. But I don't think even the Gambia government, even has the capacity to the type of regulation that this new National Assembly member is talking about. I don't think Gambia has the capacity, because it's not that cheap to regulate social media. This is what is called World Wide Web. So people, maybe places like China can be able to afford those things, maybe close Google or whatever, all those things. But Gambia doesn't have the capacity. So, regulating the social media is not going to be easy for this country, even if the intention is there. The Jammeh era, they started those things, that is closing down maybe certain websites or whatever, you know, but there is always a way you can, I mean, overcome those things.
I mean, before we let him go, I know during your time there were so many good things that really happened. You know, the laying of the foundation of the fiber project across the country. The media council obviously was started during your time, and of course the new bill that, you know, the Information Act also, you started it. All of these things are geared towards helping make our work very easy. And as a media, I think definitely we have said this, you know, having the Information Act is very, very important. Absolutely. That way it eradicates all forms of rumors that is being created by people. So access to information is very important.
Absolutely.
And all of these things happen during your time, but most of them are still not completed. I know the fiber is being laid, and when that is done, definitely it makes our job and everyone else
access to information, so we're still not there, because you still have to struggle for the he said, she said story, much more even to have a government official sit on your platform to set certain records straight, which actually he talked about in his, you know, in this interview. Like sometimes it is very, very difficult. They're preempting. And they don't preempt. Most of the time, they're just reacting. Look at this deportation thing that we've talked about. Yeah. They wouldn't come out to explain anything, except there will be some sort of rumors outside, and then they will react to it. So I think we definitely have a long way to go as far as access to information is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. But again, I think we need to understand this is a process. It's not an easy thing, particularly this access to information bill, because, you know, we've never had this in this country, and it is not a very common thing even within the sub-region as well. This is a brand new thing. So, you know, I mean, I think there needs to be some caution as to how it is going to, because, you know, when you have this access to information implemented, then, you know, I mean, you can go to any government agency, ask for that information, and they are, you know, they are compelled by law to give it to you. I mean, unfortunately, that's not the situation now. Everything is kind of treated as state secret or whatever. You know, they would not tell you anything, and you have no means. But when the law is in place, then you can be able to compel them to give you that information. Are
you optimistic the law will be passed?
Yes, I am really optimistic. Probably it will take a while, but I'm really optimistic. I think the will is there.
The will is there.
Yeah, I mean, probably the means are yet, I mean, to be. They are yet to get the means of implementing it, but I am sure that the will is there.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Uncle D. And finally, what's your message to the government, to the Gambian people? And of course, obviously, where can we get this book from right now? I heard it's sold out already. Are you printing more copies?
No, I mean, I think it's at Timbuktu. You know, it's available at Timbuktu
now, okay.
And I think there are still copies left there.
Okay.
The way forward for the Gambia, well, I think we need to give a chance to the government. I mean, this is supposedly a transitional government, and the objectives should have been for government to concentrate on, you know, institutional reform, you know, reforming the system, because the system that was inherited was extremely bad. And it is the duty of this government. Unfortunately, I mean, we've been seeing that the government was playing politics, and, you know, I mean, they shouldn't have gone to that. They shouldn't have taken that route as far as I'm concerned. They should have concentrated on, you know, what the people expected them to do. That is to concentrate on reforms, institutional reforms. But, you know, up to this very day, most of our institutions are still operating the way they used to operate, unfortunately. And but let's hope that, you know, with the next few months or years that the government has in place, probably they can carry on and do what is required of them as far as that area is concerned. And then whichever government comes after that would find maybe the situation much more easier to manage.
Thank you very much, Uncle D. Sajo.
Thank you very much. I know I've been bugging him throughout the week, asking him to grant us this interview.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you very much for granting us this interview. It's an honor having you here. And to all of our viewers, if you haven't got the book yet, make sure you go to Timbuktu and grab one, A Date with Destiny. It's a very good read. You
should read A Date with Destiny. It's, I mean, we're not able to cover everything in this interview. It's detailed from him, his family background, his, you know, his journey to become a journalist, his life, entire life. I mean, But importantly, the days in cabinet, I find it fascinating. I think every Gambian should read it. It's at Timbuktu at $450. Please get your copy now. It will be interesting to know Uncle D.A. Thank you very much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Fatou and Sajo. I'm really happy that you people gave me the opportunity at least to use this platform to thank the Gambian public, particularly the way people reacted to the launching of the book and how people came as to help me, and all the support and all the sentiments people have been expressing since the book came out. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good night to you all. See you next week.